A very good morning, our viewer, wherever you're watching us from. Today being a Thursday, that is, they do say it's a TPT, that is a Tropak Thursday, 26th of February 2026. Actually, remaining with only 2 days to crown the month of love, as many call it. But it has been a month of February, and with a lot of issues here and there, good, bad, moderate here and there, but we thank God that we have reached this far. And of course, being a Thursday morning here at Ndizi TV Africa, we are ready to unpack what is happened, or what happened yesterday on the newspaper review, and of course what has been trending, and of course make your day, or you being informed on what is going on in the country. And before getting to that, we need to know what exactly has been happening. Of course, we know yesterday some of the CSS, more so the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, who appeared before the Parliament to explain on police brutality, and there is a lot that he mentioned there. And of course, saying that police brutality has not started yesterday. It's something that has been there for some days now. And of course, talking about the common mwananchi being involved, or the report that was given out that the common mwananchi has been involved in taking action on the people who have been involved in theft, more so what we call when somebody is being found, of course, taking or mali ya wenyewe by force, then akipatikana unageuka na kumwangukia, then even lynching or beating to death. So there is a report that was given out, and of course it's something that is alarming, and there is a questions being asked here and there, and of course what the police have been doing to ensure that there is safety in our areas, and of course where we live. But before we get into details, let's get to the newspaper review. And as we start from the Standard newspaper, the Daily Nation, Taifa Leo, People's Daily, the Star, we will be able to unpack a lot. But remember, yesterday the alternative government, as they call themselves, or that is the United Opposition, did their last wrap. That is day 3 of their tour in Gusiland. And of course, there is a lot people are talking about on their coming to Gusiland. And as they are getting back to Nakuru today, there's a team that will be in Nakuru. That is as per their schedule, and of course what we have seen that they have posted on social media platforms. Is that they're expected in Nakuru today and either tomorrow on rallies of ensuring that they're talking to Kenyans. But elsewhere is that, of course, we have seen now the Kenya Kwanza, or the broad-based government, will be also touring Gusiland. And of course, the president is, scheduled to be visiting Gusiland in the new month, that is March. Of course, we'll be confirming the dates, and we'll be updating you on what is going on and how it's going to happen. But the grassroots leaders, they're said to have starting today, they'll be starting doing grassroots mobilization, and of course what they call is it cleansing, if I can call it like that, because now the opposition have left them. They will be doing talking to the common mwananchi, and ensuring that they're preparing the ground for the coming or the visit that the president will be doing. It is 40 minutes past 7 a.m. My name is Jeff Nyakundi. My director is Lucas Ouma. Let's unpack what has been on the newspapers this morning. And here, let's start with the Standard newspaper. And the Standard newspaper, there is a lot that has been published. They are talking about the security of the country, and of course the relationship of of Kenya and top leaders, and of course the RSF, saying that RSF passport shame. It is sanctioned, and of course talking about a diplomatic storm is brewing after the US sanctioned Ali Ghani Hamdan Daglo Musa, a younger brother of RSF commander Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, for alleged genocide, weapons procurement, and financing paramilitary operations in Sudan. Shockingly, U.S. records show that he holds a Kenyan passport, raising questions about how a warlord secured the official document. The revelation threatens to intensify scrutiny of a Kenyan's passport engagement with RSF. There is a story published on page 4. The guy, of course, the photo we are seeing on our screen there is a brother to the commander of South Sudan, Bwana Dagalo, and he has been sanctioned by the U.S. Or barred from traveling to the U.S. And as per the reports, they show that General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, of course, they have ever met with President William Samoei Ruto, and even they have shown the passport number that this guy has, and the passport number of the Republic of Kenya having this traveling document, which is very important to the country. And the question is, how did he get it? And of course, the photo we are seeing there is the time that was on 2024, actually January, when they met with the president at State House, that is President William Ruto with RSF General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo at State House in Nairobi, and of course showing the passport number, that is AK1586127. That is the passport number said to be on possession of this guy, and of course he had been paid not to not to travel to the US. And of course there's a lot of questions, and how is being done that somebody can be able to have a Kenyan's passport, one who is not a Kenyan, number two is somebody who is involved in terror or genocide activities that have been reported in Sudan. And that is a story that is published on the Standard newspaper. That is on page 4 of the Standard newspaper. When you grab it, you can be able to have a look at it, or a close look at it. Let's look at the Daily Nation. What is there? The Daily Nation talking about the ultimatum or bribes to clear rogue doctors. The Medics Union has demanded immediate dissolution of the council. Talking about the scandal that the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentist Council is tasked with carrying out impartial investigations into complaints of negligence following the death or maiming of patients, but the regulator is now facing accusation of demanding bribes with the errant doctors who play ball getting away with a slap on the wrist, as families are left to wait for for elusive justice. A story published on page 2 and of course page 3. On the other side, we can be able to see the photo of that is a photo of the council. Saying that the council is committed to uphold the highest standard of integrity, transparency, and accountability in regulating the medical and dental professionals in Kenya. We take all allegations seriously and strive to ensure fair process for all parties involved. That is Dr. David Kariuki, the Chief Executive Officer, the Kenya Medical Practitioners and the Dentist Council. And of course, it is something that has been having questions on who is now the legitimate doctor to attend to the patients. Of course, we have been seeing a lot of patients being left, or what we can call it as negligence, leading to death, and of course losing of lives that sometimes were to be helped or not to be lost. That is a story published on page 2 and of course page 3 of the Daily Nation. Elsewhere, we can be able to see the two faces of the former and the current president of the Republic of the country, of the Republic of Kenya. That is Ruto and Uhuru. They say that it is a 2027 race. Ruto Uhuru season 2 duel unfolds. They're saying that President William Ruto allies are linking his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta to growing opposition to his government, suggesting that the 2027 general elections could set up a replay of their rivalries in the last poll. Dr. William Samoei Ruto's camp believe that Mr. Kenyatta is assembling a coalition against his re-election, citing the installation of Kalonzo Musyoka as the Azimio party leader to replace Raila Odinga, who died last October last year, and Freddie Matiang'i as the Jubilee Deputy Party leader. They also see his hand in the factional, wars engulfing ODM. That is a story published on page 7 as by the Kenya Kwanza coalition or government. They see that Uhuru Kenyatta, or the former president of the Republic of Kenya, is having a hand in the opposition that the current regime is facing the country, and of course having a hand in the split of the ODM party, and ensure that and for your information, that ODM party now is having two factions, that is the Linda Mwananchi faction, and of course the Rinda Ground faction. The Rinda Ground faction is led by Oburu Odinga, who is the party leader for ODM. And of course, the Linda Mwananchi led by the likes of Edwin Sifuna, Babu Wino, and of course James Orengo, who is the governor for Siaya. And of course now they feel that the former president has a hand in that is in the factional wars engulfing ODM, and of course installing Kalonzo Musyoka as their Azimio party leader to replace Raila Odinga, who died last year, is also another thing that they're citing, that it is a plan of the former predecessor, saying that now it is a race for 2027, and of course what we saw in 2022 might be unfolding. That is Ruto Uhuru season 2 duel unfolds. They do say that politics is a game of interests, so somebody feeling that his interest is catered on the other side might be getting to that. On the other side, before getting to the top of the newspaper, there is a story published just besides here talking about the polls. And if you didn't know, actually the rival coalition lock horns in 4 by-elections today, and of course there is by-elections that are happening today. That is the mini polls are happening in Isiolo, Kakamega and Embu to test political alliances, voter loyalty and party strength ahead of the general election next year. The contest involved the Isiolo South parliamentary seat and 3 ward races. Remember, in Isiolo, the Isiolo parliamentary seat is vacant, that the votes or voters are turning out today to choose their leaders. And of course in Kakamega, there is a ward in Kakamega that is missing a ward representative, and of course in Embu County, and of course when we talk about Embu, there is Mbeere constituency, there is a ward that is missing a representative. That is a story published on page 17 of the Daily Nation. Of course, we have not had several key leaders in the country, more so the opposition led by Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo Musyoka, Freddie Matiang'i, talking about those by-elections, but they are happening today, and that's a story published on page 17. Elsewhere, on the education, they're talking about safety, quality affair as national schools struggle with congestion, talking about the intake that was taken to the that is the national schools. They are now struggling with the congestion, saying that of course reports are emerging that they took more than they could. That is they were supposed to take a certain number of students, but currently they having several or many of them. They should say that principals of Cluster 1 senior schools, formerly known as national schools, have been accused of admitting learners far beyond their declared appreciation. That is still on the Daily Nation, talking about they took admissions of more students. That is a story published on page 4 of the Daily Nation. And as we move on, is that on top of the Daily Nation is that opposition's Gusii declaration, talking about the 3-day that the opposition had their tour in Gusii. That is on Monday, Tuesday, and yesterday, Wednesday. They say that United Opposition leaders Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo Musyoka, and Freddie Matiang'i vow to stick together to unseat Ruto, deliver change. That is a story published on page 6 of the Daily Nation. And of course, what we can be able to see there, the photos of these leaders when they were having it, when they were in Gusii land, of course, doing their rallies across. And of course, yesterday they were joined by Martha Karua, who was missing on Monday and Tuesday, where he was in Uganda representing Kizza Besigye's case. Of course, that is why he has been. She missed the 2 days, but yesterday she joined them, and of course they did their rallies from Ogembo, Kenyenya, all the way to Masimba, and where they crowned the day. And of course, those are some of the published stories on the Daily Nation newspaper. You can be able to grab the newspaper and of course have a look at it. Let's look at the Star, that is the Star newspaper. And of course, here it's talking about pay headache. Members of Parliament steps in to rescue broke civil servants. Say it is okay to take home less than a third of pay. And of course, here it is a story published on page 4 and of course page 5, talking about how the pay headache, that is members of Parliament, steps in to rescue broke civil servants. Those people have been working in the government for a while. Now either they have retired or they're almost retiring, but there is nothing that they're taking home. And that is a story published on page 4 and of course page 5. On the story, that is another story here published on the news, that is the Star newspaper. Ruto opens classrooms as opposition woos Kizza voters. Of course, there are 2 photos here. One, President William Samoei Ruto yesterday was in a rally, and of course saying that he was launching and of course opening some of the done projects of the government, that is of the national government. And elsewhere we are seeing the part of opposition leaders who were in Gusii. Of course, the photo of Kalonzo Musyoka there and their supporters. They're saying that as they were talking about high cousins, President William Ruto at Westlands Primary School in Nairobi yesterday, Wiper Patriotic Front leader Kalonzo Musyoka during the opposition rally in Nyamache, Kisii County yesterday. And of course, talking about the high cousin slogan, President was in Nairobi opening classrooms, and of course Kalonzo Musyoka was in Kisii, Nyamache, and their brigade trying to grab or trying to talk to common mwananchi on for them to be supported in the coming elections. Another story published on page 22 talking about Shakahola. It is a Shakahola suspect, actually the middle of the story, okay. Shakahola, pain, terror and horror, the horrors of Shakahola, talking about Shakahola suspect Enosh Amanya Ngala, alias Hallelujah, of course, talking about what had transpired in Shakahola. And of course, there's a story published on page 22 of the Star newspaper. And of course, this is a case that has been going on in court. And of course, the main suspect being still arraigned in court. They have not been allowed to get even a bond to get out, but the investigations are ongoing, and of course the cases are ongoing, and of course those who have evidence are their own giving their evidences there. On top of this newspaper, they're talking about how killer OCS moved from police chief to death row convict. That is talking about justice, page 9 of this the Star newspaper. How killer OCS moved from police chief to death row convict. Of course, a story published about this who was an OCS from the police, that is the police chief, and of course got to be a convict of death. And that's a story published on page 9. Now here there is another feature story published on page 25 talking about a dog meat peace ritual that settled centuries-old Teso Pukusu land dispute. Talking about a feature story that has been published on page 25, and here they're saying that dog meat peace ritual that settled centuries-old Teso Pukusu land dispute. You can be able to grab the newspaper and of course have a read at how these things happened, and of course how it was done to ensure that there is peace for the Teso and the Pukusu land dispute there. Let's have a look at the People's Daily. And of course the People's Daily There is a question many people are asking themselves, more so when we are looking at the political temperatures in the country and what is happening, the goonism we are seeing in the country, the insecurity whenever rallies are being held, and of course the use of the common mwananchi, more so the youths, in disrupting people's that is gatherings, either political or any other gatherings here, and they say that is red flag. Is Kenya sliding towards a repeat of the 2007 post-election chaos? That's a question, and this is a story published on page 3, page 4, and page 5 of the People's Daily. The reason to why this question is being asked, there is what we have been seeing in the country, more so being fueled by the political class, the politicians both in government and in opposition, on what they are saying, more so when having a conversation or engaging the common mwananchi. And the question is Kenya still sliding towards a repeat of what happened in 2007, 2008 post-election violence? That is a question that has been asked there. Actually, on the bottom of it, the writings there: violence at rallies, mistrust in the electoral agents, warning popularity of the incumbent, and worrying socioeconomic status of the citizens are all painful ingredients. They are all painful ingredients. That is frightfully similar to the political situation that is 20 years ago. Actually, from then to now, it is 20 years ago. And there is a lot that happened for those people who, in one way or the other, saw what happened in the year 2008. They can relate, and of course, they know how this thing is bad. And the question is the Kenyan or the politicians in the country, both in the government and in opposition, are they fueling towards a repeat of this? That is a question that is being asked, and of course you can be able to grab the newspaper and have a look at it. On top of this, People's Daily, on page 6, they're saying how 2 tribes control key jobs in 4 parastatals. Actually, and of course, remember, is it last month or this month, midway or some weeks ago, there was a report that was given out on how Kenyans, of course, the tribes in the country and their representation on the national government and the jobs in the country. But now here, it has been showed that how 2 tribes control key jobs in 4 parastatals. That is a story published on page 6. Why anti-broad-based members of parliament were stripped of key House committee roles. Those members of parliament who are against the broad-based government, all of them were stripped of the House committees, and of course they say the key House committees that is in parliament. And of course it is the other day I was giving you the list of those members who were whipped and thrown out of their key House committees, including Karoro Mondi, who was in the constitutional implementation, and of course other leaders or other members of parliament. And that is a full story is published on page 7 of page 7 of the People's Daily newspaper. Elsewhere, let's have a look at Taifa Leo. And Taifa Leo, taarifa ambazo zimepewa kipaumbele wanasema kwamba hawajamalizana. Akina nani hawa? Rais mstaafu Uhuru Kenyatta na rais wa sasa William Samoei Ruto. Na bado wanasema kwamba washirika wa Ruto wakemea Uhuru wakisema ndiye mfadhili wa kampeni za kumtungua rais mamlakani, pale kwamba inakwamba kuanzia azimio la umoja One Kenya mnamo mwaka 2022 hadi wakati huu ambapo kampeni za one term zimechacha. Wanasema kwamba alama za uwepo wa rais mstaafu Uhuru Kenyatta zinaonekana wazi katika siasa za Kenya. ushirikiano wake na marehemu kiongozi wa ODM Raila Odinga, ushawishi wake kwa kinara wa Wiper Patriotic Front Kalonzo Musyoka, pamoja na tetezi za uhusiano wake na vuguvugu la Linda Mwananchi, umegeuza uchaguzi ujao wa Kenya kuwa marudio ya ubabe kati ya Uhuru na Rais Ruto, ambapo ni taarifa zimechapishwa katika ukurasa wa pili, na ni kinyang'anyiro ambacho kinatajwa kwamba kitakuwa kigumu zaidi. Tutakuwa tunaona yale ambayo yatarejelewa sio mwaka 2022. Nakumbuka mwaka 2022 Uhuru Kenyatta alikuwa anamuunga mkono Raila Odinga na kumpendekeza achaguliwe kama kiongozi ama kama rais wa nchi ya Kenya, lakini hilo baada ya chaguzi hizo kufanyika basi halikubainika. Lakini kwa sasa wendani ama washirika wa Rais William Samoei Ruto wanataja kwamba sasa rais mstaafu Uhuru Kenyatta anahusika pakubwa katika siasa za Kenya, haswa vuguvugu la one term, huku siasa za one term zikiwa zimechacha, vuguvugu la Linda Mwananchi ikiwa kwamba ni faction ya ODM ambayo inaongozwa na James Orengo, Babu Wino, Edwin Sifuna almaarufu Sisi Ndio Sifuna, na wale wanasema kwamba Rais Uhuru Kenyatta mstaafu anahusika pale, ikiwa kwamba ni taarifa ambayo utakuwa unaisoma katika ukurasa wa pili wa gazeti hili la Taifa Leo. Vidokezo zaidi ni kwamba maswali tele kuhusu hoteli karibu na Ikulu. Kumbuka jana kulikuwa na taarifa zilikuwa zinadokeza kwamba baadhi ya mashamba ambayo yapo ni ya Ikulu ndogo, na bila shaka mashamba ya serikali, kwamba kuna sasa serikali haiwezi fanya renovation katika Ikulu hizo ndogo, kwa sababu kuna baadhi ya watu ambao wamechukua mashamba hayo, na basi yule Katole Metito alikuwa anataja kwamba ipo ama process ya kuanza kurejesha mashamba hayo inaendelea. Lakini katika ukurasa wa 3 hapa ni maswali tele kuhusu hoteli karibu na Ikulu, na ujenzi wa hoteli karibu na makazi rasmi ya rais, eneo lenye ulinzi mkali, umeibua maswali kuhusu mumiliki halisi katika hoteli ambayo inatajwa kwamba inajengwa eneo lile la Nakuru karibu na State Lodge yake Rais William Samoei Ruto, ama State Lodge ya Ikulu ya rais. Taarifa ambazo zimechapishwa katika ukurasa wa 3, na swali ni je, ni nani mumiliki wa hoteli hiyo na mbona inajengwa karibu na Ikulu, ikiwa kwamba sheria hairuhusu ujenzi wa ghorofa refu karibu na Ikulu? Na basi maswali mengi yanaibuka pale. Kwingineko ukurasa wa 3, upinzani walenga kwa Ruto baada ya ziara ya Gusii. Muungano wa upinzani wapanga kuvamia ngome ya rais ya Bonde la Ufa, kwa kwamba ni eneo lile la Rift Valley, ikiwa viongozi hao sasa walimaliza jana siku 3 katika eneo la Gusii, na wanatarajiwa kuandaa tena safari ya kutafuta kura zao, na bila shaka kufanya mazungumzo na mwananchi wa kawaida katika eneo lile la Bonde la Ufa, aswa maeneo ya Nakuru na sehemu zile za Rift Valley. Na kwingineko ukurasa wa 8, Amerika Iran warushiana maneno. Rais Trump awasilisha hoja kuhusu uwezekano wa kuishambulia Iran akihutubia Congress. Taarifa ambazo zimechapishwa katika ukurasa wa 8. Na upande wa juu ni kwamba maseneta wakaba ko magavana. Maseneta wakapa ko magavana, huku akisema kwamba maseneta wajitenga na magavana katika msimamo wao wa kudai shilingi bilioni 534.96 kama mgao wa county. Taarifa ambazo zimechapishwa katika ukurasa wa 4. Kumbuka kwamba hili ni jambo ambalo limekuwa likileta mzozano kati ya maseneta na bila shaka wakuu wa county, magavana, kuhusiana madira ambalo linaonekana kama linachangiwa zaidi ni wakati magavana hawa wanafika mbele ya seneti ama kamati ile ya seneti ya uhazibu na kuonyesha jinsi ambavyo kujibu maswali, jinsi ambavyo wamekuwa wakitumia fedha ambazo walikuwa wamepewa ama pesa ambazo zishatumwa katika county. Na hilo lilionekana kwamba limeleta mzozo, wengi wakitaja kwamba pale wanaitishwa hongo ndiposa viongozi ama wale ambao wanaketi katika ile committee wasiwe ni watu wa maswali mengi tu, wawe wakiwatreat kinjia fulani, lile ambalo lilionekana baadhi ya maseneta wane kutajwa, akiwemo yule ambaye ni chair wa kikao kile, Seneta Ojwang, na baadaye wao walikana madai hayo, na sasa wanasema kwamba maseneta wamewakaba ko magavana, huku wakijitenga na magavana katika msimamo wao wa kudai shilingi bilioni 538.96 kama mgao wa county, taarifa ambazo zimechapishwa kwa undani katika ukurasa wa 4. Kwingineko ukurasa wa 5, Mackenzie alizika pia mtoto wake mchanga, shahidi ataja. Mahakama yaambiwa hata mtoto wa mhubiri huyo mwenye utata hakusazwa katika mfungo hatari msituni Shakahora. Kwamba wale ambao wanaendelea kutoa ushahidi dhidi ya kesi hii ya Mackenzie, ambaye pia anahusika kwamba ni mhubiri ambaye ana utata mkubwa zaidi, na anahusishwa na vifo vya washirika wake wa kanisa eneo lile la msitu wa Shakahora. Anataja kwamba hata mtoto wake mchanga hakuzazwa, naye alizikwa katika eneo hilo la Shakahora. Taarifa ambazo zimechapishwa katika ukurasa wa 5. Na tukisonga mbele, hebu tupata kutazama katika the last newspaper, that is the People's Daily. And of course the People's Daily here, the key headline saying that worst ministers, agencies in supplier payment refilled. Akisema kwamba worst ministers, agencies and of course supplier payment refilled. They're saying that State Department, IEBC, NLC can't pay over 135 billion shillings. Nairobi unable to settle 72% of 83 billion shillings pending bills. Here they're talking about 7 ministries including the presidency, 2 commissions, and Nairobi County are in the blacklist of public entities incapable of paying billions of shillings owed to suppliers, setting up several businesses to corrupt and of course close down. A State Department under the ministries in that is the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, and National Lands Commission are unable to settle pending bills in excess of 135 billion from budgetary allocations disclosure by the Parliamentary Budget Office, that is the PPO. The PPO show. The PPO say in a report that Nairobi, the 7 ministries, the IEBC and the Land Commission, they have not paid actually their arrears, and that is a story published on page 2. And on a photo we are seeing is Davis Chirchil, the Roads and Transport CS, Johnson Sakaja, the Nairobi Governor, Erastus the IEBC chairperson, and the three ministries, and of course actually they're saying there's 7 ministries, but the one that are key here, seem to be having a lot of pending bills or unpaid bills, is Davis Chirchil of Roads and Transports, Johnson Sakaja of Nairobi County, of course meaning Nairobi County has not paid the pending bills over 83 billion, and of course the IEBC as an entity there. Talking about insurance, police denied insurance compensation after 2 billion default. That's a story published by Dominic Omondi. Families of police officers did not receive claims for the death of their loved ones for the entire 2025 after the National Police Service failed to remit premiums, exposing them to financial distress. A report tabled in the National Assembly by one of the watchdogs committees has revealed that the National Police Service did not remit 2 billion in premiums for a group, that is for a group life insurance policy to Preterm. That is the private insurer contracted to offer the comprehensive cover. As a result, no claim were paid by Preterm in 2025, said the permanent that is Lemelde, the Secretary for Administration and the Accounting Officer for the National Police Service. That is a story published on page 2 of the Business Daily newspaper. Elsewhere, elsewhere on the ticker side, there is pressure piles on Treasury of infrastructure fund. Experts have flagged gaps in the proposed law that seeks to create a national infrastructure fund, warning that they expose the endowment to risk of the political patronage and financial leaks. That is a story published on page 4. And you can have a close look at it when you grab this newspaper. Elsewhere is that the Chinese firm lines up 2 billion copper mining plant in Makueni. A Chinese firm is planning to set up a 2 billion copper mining plant at Mtito Andei in Makueni County in the latest wave of foreign-backed project targeting Kenya's emerging mining sector. A story published on page 7. Elsewhere, the CPK bond sells to limit upwards rate pressure. That is, the CPK's remove to fast-track borrowing from the domestic debt in the first half of the fiscal year is likely to minimize the pressure on interest rates despite the increase in the full year borrowing target. That is a story also published on page 14 of the People's Daily. Elsewhere, on top of the Business Daily, is that they're saying on page 9, that is the intelligence, they're saying that when creators operate alone, survival dominates thinking. When they operate within platforms, scales become plausible. That is a story published on page 9. And of course, on the market data, still at the exchange rate between Kenyan shilling and of course the USD is remaining at 129. That is on Tuesday, and of course yesterday, Wednesday, it is remaining on 129.02. And of course the exchange rate is 0.00%. On the other side, that's talking about life. A story published on page 19 is that the real Jabba story, how entrepreneur turned Kath into a profitable beverage. Talking about the real story of Jabba. And of course, you can be able to have that story or read it through page 19. And of course, know exactly how is this guy turned it to be a profitable beverage business. And those are some of the stories published on the Business Daily. And of course, what we have seen here from the Standard newspaper, the RSF passport shame, and of course, the Daily Nation, the bribes to clear rogue doctors, and of course, a lot of questions being asked. And of course, we saw the CEO of the dentist or the Kenya Medical Practitioner, the Dentist Union, are saying that they are going to do investigation to ensure that those people who are held responsible, they take responsibility. And of course, we saw there the Uhuru season 2 duel unfolds, where they think that Uhuru Kenyatta is involved in the one-term slogan, and of course the split in ODM. That is a story also published on the Daily Nation. People's Daily is Kenya sliding towards the repeat of the 2007 post-general election chaos. That's something, of course, you need to grab and have a look at. Pay headache, members of parliament step in to rescue broke civil servants. And of course, Ruto opens classrooms as opposition goes Kisii voters. And Taifa Leo, we saw hawajamalizana. Wapi hao? Uhuru Kenyatta na rais wa sasa William Samoei Ruto. A story published on page 2. And of course, you can have a look at it. And of course, talking about the Mackenzie, Mackenzie alizika pia mtoto wake. Mchanga shahidi asema. And of course, on the cases that are unfolding or involving Mackenzie and the Shakahola deaths. These are some of the stories on the bold headlines today. And of course, we are going to take a quick break. Once back, we'll be also looking at the trending stories and of course what happened yesterday. And of course from Homa Bay, and there is some of the CECs that have been, actually the MCAs who have been whipped from their posts. We'll be able to have a conversation here and there. And of course, you can be talking to us via our SMS number, that is 21575. And of course, follow us on our social media platforms that we are live on Facebook and of course YouTube, on our channel that is Ndizi TV Africa, where you can also engage with us with your conversations. And of course, what do you think from what we have seen on the newspapers. Don't go too far. I'll be back in a few minutes. My name is Jeff Nyakundi. I'll be back in some minutes.
Je, wewe ni mmiliki wa aina ya gari aina ya Alto, Probox, Harrier, V8 na Lexus? Jipatie brake pads kwa bei nafuu hivi sasa. Vilevile oil filters kwa gari aina ya Toyota na vilevile Subaru. Ili upokee popote ulipo, piga simu kupitia nambari 0739318606. Mteja mpendwa, ni wakati sasa wa kujinyakulia aina ya flash disk kuanzia 8GB, 16GB na vilevile 32GB. Vilevile earphones, wireless headsets, unajipatia wireless microphones tofauti kwa bei nafuu. Yale ambayo unafaa kuyafanya hivi sasa ni kwamba unapiga simu kupitia nambari 0739318606. Yote unayapata kwa bei nafuu popote ulipo.
Naam, ni wakati wa kusikiza sauti inayobeba maono, busara na hali halisi ya kisiasa humu nchini. Karibu katika kipindi Sauti ya Uongozi. Hapa tutakuwa tunazungumza na viongozi kujieleza katika hali halisi ya yale ambayo waliahidi kuyafanya, na bila shaka kukupa wewe mtazamaji nafasi ya kuzungumza kama mwananchi wa kawaida kwa yale ambayo waliahidi kuyafanya katika maendeleo humu nchini.
But after making the payment, they delete it. Now, what kind of accounting is that? Because you are supposed to maintain the details of whoever you paid, so that the figures can balance.
Watu ambao wanafanyiwa sio kwamba ni wale wananchi wote ambao wako pale wanafanyiwa ile funding, ni makundi haswa. Na zile pesa kufika katika makundi ikamfikia mwananchi yule ambaye alikuwa anachangiwa akapata kiasi kidogo cha pesa. Ina maana kule kuzurula, ule msururu wa kuzunguka inakuwa ni kama ni null and void kwa mwananchi, anaiona kwamba analagaiwa.
If you graduated in 2016 and somebody graduated in 2020, the 2016 was to be given priority to get that job. But nowadays, members of parliament have taken over. They get the letters, they dish them in funerals, others they sell them to the highest bidder.
Kila wiki tutakuletea mahojiano ya kina na viongozi kutoka sekta mbalimbali na jamii kwa ujumla. Je, unajiuliza maswali ni kipi ambacho kinajiri nyuma ya pasia la uongozi? Basi hapa ndipo unapaswa kukaa mkao wa kutazama na kusikiza. Usikose Sauti ya Uongozi kila siku ya Jumamosi kuanzia saa 1 jioni hadi saa 3 jioni ndani ya Ndizi TV Africa, nami Jeff Nyakundi. Sauti ya Uongozi. Tunazungumza, tunajenga, tunabadilika.
Each one of us, there is a dream. The challenge is how to achieve it. This journey will take inspiration, constant motivation, proper supervision, and strong connections. At Carmel Park Training College, We know what makes your dreams come true. Now, all we need to begin in this journey is you. Enroll today in a variety of courses. Choose Kamal Park Training College.
Steer your future in the right direction. Safe driving starts here. Camel Park Driving School, now ready to quench your driving thirst. We offer NTSA certified driving lessons for upgrading, beginners, and refreshers. Our team of qualified instructors deliver content for the following classes: A1, A2, B1, B2, C, C1 and C2, D1 and the rest. We train learners with modern vehicles which fit the evolving digital world. Why choose Camel Park Driving School? We are situated within a serene environment which offers a humble space of study. Our classes are fitted with advanced materials which supports learning. Other benefits are flexible class schedule, pocket-friendly fees, proper theory and practical guide, annual operation and additional computer packages training. Spend less, learn more, drive forever. Apply now. For more information, call us on or SMS us on 0755 386 594 or 0753 915 354, or you can email us on camelcollege@gmail.com, or also you can visit our offices at Kiogoro, which is 5 kilometers from Kisii town along Kisii-Kilgoris Road. Camel Park Driving School, shaping dreams on the wheels.
Umekuwa ukitafuta chuo ambacho kipo mahali tulivu, cha kisasa na kinachotoa mafunzo yatakayokuwezesha kupata kazi nyakati hizi, na kina walimu waliohitimu. Bas, Camel Park Training College ndicho chuo hicho. Wana courses za diploma na certificate kama housekeeping management, tourism management, food and beverage sales management, fashion design, cosmetology, information communication technology, graphic design, film production, broadcast journalism, marketing management, business management na zingine nyingi. Pia wana short courses kama vile computer packages, front office management, digital marketing, video editing na zingine nyingi. Admission inaendelea. Mwandikie barua msimamizi mkuu wa chuo hicho pamoja na vyeti vyako vya KCSE au result slip. Pia unaweza jisajili mtandaoni kwa tovuti yetu ya www.camelparkcollege.co.ke au upige simu kwa 0755386594 au 0753915354. Tupo katika barabara ya Kisii-Kilgoris. Camel Park Training College, empowering excellence, inspiring innovation.
right, once again, welcome back to the morning bus as we keep on with our show here at Ndizi TV Africa. And of course, you can talk to us via our SMS number, that is 21575, and of course, engage with us through our social media platforms, that is Ndizi TV Africa on Facebook, Ndizi TV Africa on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and all our social media platforms. Get us as Ndizi TV Africa. Now, on the trending stories this morning, we are going to have a look at what has been happening in the country, and of course in different areas and regions, from so the political talks here and there. And of course, as I earlier on informed you, is that the United Opposition, of course, did their last wrap yesterday of the 3-day visit to Gusiland, and of course they were led by Dr. Fred Okengo Matiang'i, who hails from this region. And there's some 2-3 events that happened. Remember, on Monday, when they started their journey or their political campaigns and tour in Gusiland, Dr. Fred Okengo Matiang'i at Nyamira, that is in Nyamira County, he was installed as the spokesperson of the Omogusi community, and something that happened at Ekerenyo grounds, where they started officially their tour, that is from Nyamira town, that is from Nyamira County, then moved to other parts of the county and the Gusii region. On Tuesday, they had a presser at Camel Park Hotel, where they strongly sent a message to the government saying that their time is coming. Once it's done, they will have to get into office. And of course, there's a lot of issues talking about development, and of course the promises that were given by the current regime that they have not been achieved. Later on yesterday, of course, they did their last wrap around the county, that is Gusiland, starting from Ogembo, Kenyenya, Masimba, Nyamache, and of course they crowned it or at Masimba, and of course they called it a day. And of course they are expected to be going through they are expected to be expected to do their rallies in Nyamira. Actually in Rift Valley, and Mwaso Rigathi Gachagua is planning to tour Nakuru County. And of course we'll be following up and of course inform you what has been happening. Now on the other side, from the other trending stories from this region is